Welcome to a deep dive you're clearly ready for, all about the numerology of 44. You've given us a ton of articles, notes. It seems like you're really diving into this.
Yeah, it's fascinating stuff. And that term you keep seeing, master number, that's definitely attention grabbing.
Right, multiple sources call it that, master number. Why is that so important in numerology, though? What makes it stand out?
Okay, so in numerology, these repeating digits, like 11, 22, 33, and of course 44, they're thought to have this like higher frequency, energy, significance, all amplified.
So regular numbers are like what are everyday tools, but then these master numbers, that's the heavy machinery.
Exactly. Imagine going from a basic kitchen appliance to having like industrial grade power. Huge potential, but you got to handle it right.
44. Not just another number then, huh? More like the superhero of numbers, big power, big responsibility, all that.
You got it. And that amplified energy, it can play out in wildly different ways. Depends which numerology school of thought you're looking at, like Chaldean numerology, even Indian traditions. They actually take a bit of a dimmer view of 44, especially you break it down to its single digit 8.
Dimmer view. Okay, now you're making me nervous. What is it about 44 or 8 for that matter that makes them so uneasy?
Well, in these traditions, 44 eighths, it's often linked with misfortune, loss, unexpected challenges, that sort of thing. It's seen as this karmic debt number. Trials and tribulations, that's the vibe.
Whoa, that's heavy. And such a contrast to this whole master number idea, the superhuman potential we were just talking about.
It is a stark contrast. And that's where the Pythagorean tradition comes in with a completely different take. They see 44 eighths as deeply lucky, even more powerful than 33, the master number before it.
Okay, so we've got two big names in numerology, totally opposite views on the same number. How do we make sense of that?
It's a good question. It's like this paradox, right? But maybe the answer is in how they see the journey that's tied to 44.8. Like the Chaldeans, they're all about the initial difficulty, the tests, the obstacles you got to overcome early on.
So like the highlighting the price tag on all that potential, you got to pay your dues to really tap into 44's power.
Exactly. But the Pythagorean view, it kind of picks up where the Chaldeans leave off. They think if you can handle those initial hardships, we're talking maybe even a decade or two, then 44.8's mastery, that's when it brings the truly incredible rewards even beyond other master numbers, they say.
So it's not just the destination, it's the road trip to get there. 44.8, maybe it's the scenic route, rough terrain, but the view at the end, breathtaking.
Love that analogy. And that's what makes it so interesting, right? This double-edged sword. Intensely demanding, for sure, but for those who can work with that energy, the rewards are off the charts.
Okay, so we kind of get the overall vibe of 44 now, but what's it actually like, having this number in your life? Let's say it's your life path number. That's a biggie, right?
Big time. Your life path number. That's core to numerology, calculated from your birth date, and it's showing you your potential, your purpose, the direction your life might take.
So, like, your soul's roadmap. But if 44 is the route, what's that journey look like? Straight shot to the top, or is it a bit more complicated?
Well, rarely a straight shot with Amway Life Path, let's be real. But 44, with that amplified energy, it's a whole other level. Imagine a life geared toward like huge G achievements, leaving your mark on the world, making big things happen. Manifestation, that's a big key word here, turning dreams into reality, but on a grand scale.
Sounds ambitious. The articles I've got here, they mention careers in business, politics, huge projects, stuff with major impact. And people with this life path, they're the builders, driven to create a legacy. But that doesn't sound easy.
Definitely not for the faint of heart. 44's energy is potent. But yeah, it's that double-edged sword again. On one hand, you've got this incredible drive to achieve, to build, to manifest, like we said. But the flip side, burnout's a real risk. Neglecting your own needs because you're so focused on the goal, it's a balancing act, constantly.
So while some people are out there searching for their lucky numbers, hoping for an easy ride, folks with the 44 life path, they're probably thinking, wait, can someone hit pause for a sec? I need a breather.
Expert speaker laughs? Maybe. But it's about finding that sweet spot. Striving for your goals, yeah, but also thriving as a person. You can conquer those mountains and take care of yourself. It's not one or the other.
So balance is key for anyone trying to make 44 work for them. But are there any like real life examples of this? People who embody that 44 energy, but they're doing it like they found that balance.
Yeah, for sure. There are some really interesting examples in this research you sent, actually.
Right. And they're all so different, which I think really shows you how complex this 44 energy is. Like we were just talking about, finding that balance between, achieving and just living.
Yeah, totally. So who are some of these people? What are their stories?
Well, one that came to mind right away, Albert Einstein. I mean, talk about someone who left a mark on the world, right?
Einstein, yeah.
Yeah.
His theories, they totally change how we understand things, like fundamental stuff. Exactly. And that kind of large-scale impact, paradigm shifts, that's a big 44 life path theme.
Hmm.
But it's not always just, like, intellectual stuff. Einstein, he was really outspoken about peace, social justice, all of them.
Rory, right. He wasn't just like hiding away in his lab. He was out there trying to make the world better, too.
Yeah, exactly. And, that often comes with its own set of challenges, right? Going against the grain, challenging the norms.
Sure, sure. Someone's always going to disagree, right? Especially when you're shaking things up the way he did.
Absolutely. And Einstein, he definitely had his critics, his opponents, but that often comes with the territory, right? If you're
Mm.
really pushing boundaries, making people think differently.
It's like that 44 intensity, but on a global scale almost.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it. It makes you wonder if folks with that strong 44 influence, maybe they're just wired to challenge things, even if it ruffles some feathers along the way.
So, speaking of challenging norms, another name popped up in this research, Elon Musk. And I mean, talk about someone pushing limits.
Yeah, Elon Musk for sure. Space travel, electric cars, sustainable energy. He's not afraid to go big.
No kidding. It's like he's looking at the same world we are, but he sees all these possibilities that most of us don't even dream of.
Exactly. And that unwavering belief in himself, that's another 44 life path thing.
Wow.
Refusing to accept limits.
Yeah.
But like we've been saying, that drive, it needs an outlet, a healthy way to be channeled. And it made me think, comparing him to someone else you mentioned, the musician Avicii, it's interesting.
Avicii, the musician. That's not usually the first thing that comes to mind with this whole ambitious 44 energy. Explain that one to me.
Right, on the surface, totally different worlds. But think about it. Avicii, in his career, tragically cut short, but he achieved global recognition. His music, it connected with people on a massive scale.
That's true, millions of fans, and his music still resonates with people today, even after his passing. So sad.
It is really sad, but that's 44 energy too, in a
Yeah.
way, expressed through creativity, through emotion. He left a mark on the world, just through a different medium.
Right. It's not always about building empires or changing laws. Sometimes it's about touching people's hearts, creating something beautiful.
Exactly. And that's an important reminder, I think. With this 44 life path, you got to find that expression that truly fits you. Both Musk and Avicii, different fields. But they channeled that ambition, that drive, to make their mark.
So it's not just the what of achievement, it's the how. How are you using your energy to create?
Yes. And that brings us back to balance, right? This theme keeps coming up with 44. Big ambition, yeah, but often huge pressure comes with that, like this sense of urgency to achieve, achieve, achieve.
Makes sense. It's like you're wired for it, so you feel like you constantly need to be doing something big, important.
Exactly. But that can backfire, right?
Yeah.
If you're always on, always pushing, you burn out, and
Yes.
then you can't achieve anything.
True, true. It's like you can't pour from an empty cup. Even with a life path like this, one that's all about building, creating, you got to take care of yourself.
100%. And that's going to look different for everyone. Maybe it's setting boundaries, learning to delegate, taking time for things you enjoy. Maybe it's meditation, spending time with loved ones, or just hitting pause when it all gets to be too much.
It's about recognizing that rest, it's not a luxury. It's an essential part of achieving those big goals. If you're burnt out, you're not going to reach your full potential, right?
Exactly. And it's interesting, even these people, the Einsteins, the Musks, they had to learn that too. Sometimes the hard way, from making those mistakes, pushing themselves too far.
So they're not immune to burnout either, even with all that 44 energy driving them.
Yeah.
It's reassuring in a way, like it's a human thing, this need for balance. It's not a weakness. So it's not just about having this number in your chart. It's what you do with it, right? You're not just along for the ride.
Exactly. It's more like you've got this powerful engine inside you, but you're the one steering. So if our listeners really feeling that connection to 44, wanting to explore it more deeply, what's one thing they could do?
Besides all the soul searching we've already thrown at them, you mean?
Right. Besides that, I'd say look back at the people we talked about. Einstein, Musk, Avicii even, really dig into their stories, their biographies.
Interesting. So it's not just, oh, here's a famous person with my life path, but actually seeing how their journey unfolded.
Yeah. What worked for them, what didn't, how they handle that 44 intensity. It's not about copying them, but maybe you see their struggles, their triumphs, and it gives you some ideas for your own life.
So kind of like looking for clues, patterns, seeing what resonates with your own experiences.
It's exactly. Numerology, it's a tool, but you got to use it thoughtfully. Take what works, leave what doesn't. You're still in charge of your own life, your own choices.
You're the author, 44 is just a theme maybe, something like that.
I like that.
Hmm.
And I think that's a great note to end on, actually. No matter what your numerology says, you've got the power to create a life you love, one that aligns with your values, your goals.
Well, this has been fascinating, a real deep dive into the energy of 44, the challenges, the potential. We've covered a lot.
Well, it's been a journey, that's for sure.
And for you listening, keep exploring numerology. See where it leads you. Thanks for joining us on the Deep Dive.